Hi there, I am the Finance Catalyst and my name is Gabriel. Welcome to this special episode of my podcast where we talk about financial matters. On today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 proven ways to aggressively save money. Now, talking about aggressive saving or sticking to an aggressive saving plan, this is something very important. Before I could actually share with you these 10 proven ways, I want to explain to you what it means to aggressively save money and why it's important to pay close attention to aggressive saving. Now, you might want to ask me, what is aggressive saving or what does it mean to be sticking with an aggressive saving plan? Aggressive saving is important for people that are actually want to accomplish something in the near future. When you have a goal, for example, in mind, or you have a goal in front of you want to achieve, you want to do everything in your power to ensure that you meet those goals. Same applies to the financial structure. When you have something you want to do financially in the near future, you want to do as much things as possible to see and to ensure that you meet that financial goal. So aggressive saving or sticking with an aggressive saving plan is like a structure that will help you and guide you to be able to meet those goals. An aggressive saving plan is like a blueprint, for setting aside a sizable amount of your income, typically over a fairly short period of time. Let's take this example. For example, you have a guy or a lady who is in his 30s or in her 30s, and she's thinking of already at that stage. She's working. Of course, she's in the working environment, but now she's already thinking that, by the time I'm 40, I want to be retired. So I want to plan towards my retirement. So in the sense that by the time I'm 40, I want to maybe her financial goals might be, I want to have a house of my own, or I want to have several real estate properties where I can decide to rent one off or sell one out, or I want to acquire some properties that I know that in the near future, by the time I'm retired, I can sell those off to get some returns. Now, what does the aggressive saving plan do? Someone like this can actually stick to an aggressive saving plan because with this kind of structure, you allocate some sizable amount of your income. It doesn't necessarily have to be only your salary, your net income for the month. From both your salary, or if you're a worker, or you're a businessman, or you're a self-employed person. Having some sizable amount of income constituting or contributing those amount of income to your savings, it's actually what helps you with an aggressive saving, because if you say, okay, I want to give this a goal for the next 6 months to be contributing like let's say 60% of my income towards my savings for the next 6 months, it means that you are actually going on an aggressive saving plan. Because there are people who want to say, okay, I just need to get 20% of my income towards my savings. But there are some people who say, no, I want to help myself and deprive myself of some certain things now because I have a plan in the near future to be able to accomplish this or that. You see, so an aggressive saving plan is a structure that gives you that platform to be able to save money on an aggressive note. That's what it means. You might want to ask me, is it important to stick with an aggressive saving plan, or is it beneficial for me? You can say, okay, maybe I'm not earning so much money when it comes to my monthly income is not as much. So do you think I should stick with an aggressive saving plan? Now, this question depends on you personally. You might want to ask yourself, why do you want to even involve yourself in an aggressive saving plan in the first place? Because if you have, like I said, if you have a goal in front of you that you want to hit by all means, you have a target, you want to deprive yourself of some certain things in order to be able to meet that goal. So that's what, when it comes to an aggressive saving plan, it depends on an individual, what you want to do, or what you want to achieve financially. When it comes to the things you want to do, do you want to stick with the normal savings, or you want to go aggressively with your savings? It's more on an individual basis. But what I can say about sticking with an aggressive saving plan is that it could be beneficial in the sense that when you make that a recurring thing, it becomes a habit that you take up. If you keep doing that every month, you are saving aggressively. Before you know what's happening, you are becoming more it becomes like a normal routine for you. You don't feel it so much, you become used to it. That could be a benefit for having an aggressive saving plan. Another thing could be it will help you to manage your money better. When okay, at this stage there are some things that I don't really need. There are some things I don't really need to spend money on. I can actually allocate this money to more money from my income towards my savings. That could help you, give you a clear understanding of how to deal with your money. And when you have an idea that, okay, there are things that are not just necessary, there are things I just don't need to spend money on. It gives you a sense of discipline on how you deal with your expenses. And living less than your expenses is always one of the best financial advice you could get. Try as much as possible not to live, don't spend more than what you earn. That's one of the mistakes most people make. You see someone who earns some sort of money, but before you know what's happening, the person is even spending more than he earns, and is actually getting himself or herself in several debts that is now becoming quite a challenge to get out of. So it's important to pay attention to what it means to aggressively save money. Saving money aggressively can become a lifestyle for anybody who is accustomed or who has accustomed him or herself to spending less. Once you are accustomed to that kind of lifestyle, it's very easy for you to aggressively save, or to stick with an aggressive saving plan. So this is what it means. Now, having said all this, I want to now share with you the 10 proven ways to aggressively save money. The first one is actually paying yourself first. I know some people might have heard about this. Paying yourself first. Paying yourself first is an often repeated piece of personal advice that people could give you. It simply means, whenever you get money or when you receive some income, the first thing you should do is to pay yourself first. In the sense that it's something that it's a structure, that you have to imbibe. Because when you have some sort of funds, you need to take you need to allocate some amount of money into your savings. It's always important. Most people, what the mistake they make is, when they get some sort of funds, what they do is they spend money on other things and they forget to pay themselves first. Now, what happens there is that by the time they end up spending all the money that they have, the little that is left is what they now allocate to their savings, which is not the right way to look at this. As a financial person, I've been able to understand that it's always important to first of all set aside funds that are important for certain reasons, for certain things, before ending up taking funds out to make some other expenses. So it's important to always pay yourself first. When you get some sort of fund, what you need to think about is how many percentage of this fund goes to my savings first, before thinking about other things. Because when you do that, you have some sense of guarantee somewhere, just in case of anything, that you have something somewhere. You don't spend your money and don't eat from hand to mouth. You get money at the end of the month, it's completely gone, and there's no backup plan, or there's nothing to do. So it's always important. Paying yourself first is very, very important. And you might want to ask me, what are the things I can do to actually help me stick to this? Because some people feel like at the beginning there might be a challenge. Maybe by the time the money comes, they're already thinking about things that they've budgeted the money for. So it's very difficult to now start paying themselves. They want to sort out those things first before start saying, okay, whatever is left, then I can allocate it to my savings. No, one of the ways that could help you be more discipline in that regard is to set up recurring transfers. We are in a banking system, an automated system, that you could actually do a direct debit on your account whenever you get funds. So you can actually have a savings account where you have a direct debit too. So immediately the money comes in, that money is being sent direct. There's a automatic transfer from your bank account towards your savings account. In that case, you know that money has already left your account and you don't have to think about it. So you have to now work with the one that you have currently on the account. So this is one of the ways you could actually help yourself to pay yourself first, because when you're paying yourself first ensures that that money makes it to your savings account rather than just being spent. If you have struggled with sticking to a savings habit or adopting this mentality, it's important to start thinking about it, because paying yourself first can even make it easier, for you to be able to achieve your financial goals. Number 2 is actually getting out of debt. Getting out of debt. Debt can be a significant obstacle when it comes to saving money. If you are spending hundreds of or even thousands of dollars paying off credit cards, student loans, or other forms of debt each month, you might really have very little to save. That's just the reality. So getting rid of your debt can help you free up more money so that you can follow through, an aggressive saving budget. Because you cannot save aggressively if you are in so much debt. It's not possible. So first, focusing on your debt payoff also requires you to be able to, control your spending habits. It's very, very important, because since the goal is to not create any new debt in this process, the goal is for you to focus on clearing the debts. You can never save aggressively if you don't clear those debts. So paying attention to clearing your debts is one of the important proven ways you can actually save more money, because once you clear the debts, you can then think about savings. But as long as there is a debt incurred, saving becomes very, very difficult. So number 3, tracking all your spending. An aggressive saving plan won't really work for you if you don't know exactly where your money is going. Always keep track of your spending habits. Is always very important. Always keep track of your spending habits. Really, really key. There are different ways to track your spending. These ways could be, using a spreadsheet, for example. A spreadsheet you can put down all the things that you are spending money on, to know if you're actually spending money on things that are important or things that are not. Linking your bank account to an expense tracking or budgeting app is something that could also help you. You link your bank account to an expense tracking app, or there are several apps on Play Store. I'll be putting some of them on the link below, and you can see which of the apps you could use to track your spending. It's very, very important, because keeping track of your spending is a very vital ingredient when it comes to aggressive saving. The method you choose isn't as important as tracking all your expenses regularly, including your cash spending or any other forms of spending. Is always very important to keep track. Getting into the habit of tracking expenses can actually make the next step in your aggressive saving plan. And it helps you. It's much easier, for you to be able to tackle things that come your way financially. You'll be much more aware, of where your money goes and how you might want to economize it. Because once you know that, when it comes to tracking your spending, you are more intentional of where your money goes. And that's very important. Being intentional of how you spend money and where your money goes is really, really key. Number 4 is utilizing a budgeting method. In one of my episodes, I had shared the importance of sticking with a budget. If you've not listened to that episode, I would encourage you to do so. A budget plan is a plan for spending money each month. Making a budget each month is central, It's central to how you save aggressively. You cannot shy away from that. When you have a budget, it gives you a clear picture of what you do with your money and how you allocate your money and how you save. Since you can decide how to allocate money, it's much easier for you when you have a budget. In its most basic form, making a budget means you are adding up expenses and subtracting them from your income. That's what it means. Once you know that you are dealing with your budget, you are dealing with your expense, you are dealing with your income, you know that once you subtract your income from your expense, you know what you have left, and your budget gives you that clear picture of how you should bridge the gap between your income and expense, so you can easily know when you are actually spending more than you are getting, or when you are actually spending less than you're getting. Your budget gives you that clear picture, But however, there's no single way to make a budget. There are different styles. Like I said, I will still encourage you to go back to that episode and listen to what I said there or what I shared there about budgeting. You might want to try a zero-based budgeting, that is the 50-30-20 budget method, which I shared on that episode. Or you might want to just do a cash enveloping budgeting system. Whichever type you want to do, it's always important to stick with it, because once you consider this part of budgeting, it helps you to be able to save money aggressively. And then at the end of the day, you'll know that you are sticking with the budget. You know that you are more intentional about your income, what you get, and how you spend your money. So it's very important to utilize the budgeting method when it comes to saving aggressively. Number 5 is cutting down expenses. Cutting down expenses. Some people might ask, how can I stop spending money? Some people can say, I just can't stop spending money. That's a question people often ask when they are frustrated by their effort to save aggressively. Some people can start, and before you know, oh no, I can't anymore. I have so many expenses. I can't help myself. Now the key is knowing how to prioritize your needs over your wants, and looking for areas you're spending money on that doesn't really necessarily have to be there, and try to eliminate those areas. It's very, very important to pay attention to this. Sometimes you don't really necessarily need to get a car when you know that the transport network system there is really great, and you don't necessarily need to get a car at that point. You don't then have to just go and buy a car just because your friends are getting one. No, that's also very important to take note of. Always try to look at your needs and your wants. Know what you need at that point in time against what you don't need. It's very, very important. And looking at also moving to a cheaper area when it comes to renting. It might be like at that point, they are renting a place for yourself is something that you can pay attention to. You look at the security of that place as well as the cost. Don't just necessarily go for the top-notch places because you see other people or most of your friends that are staying in these places, and you just want to live based on their means and not your means. No. Always pay attention to this. Tend to always be careful when it comes to, your expenditures, what you spend money on. Ask yourself the question, is this thing really important at this stage of my life? Do I really need it at this stage of my life? Because you might be saving yourself for a greater goal, depriving yourself of those short-term pleasures for now for a greater enjoyment in the future is something you should also consider. This is very, very important when it comes to saving aggressively. Cutting down expenses is key. Number 6 is opening a high yield savings account. There are different forms of accounts you could open. One of which is the high yield savings account. If you are saving aggressively, it's always important to keep your money in a secure place, where it can earn, great interest rates, or you might actually decide that you want to invest those money in some sort of investment that could in return bring you something that is much valuable. But whichever way you decide to go on, it's always important to stick with that. A high yield savings account is an account that you can put your money into, and then you generate some sort of interest rate at the end of the year. The higher the rate, the higher the annual percentage. And it's a form of savings that you could actually adopt when it comes to saving aggressively. So when you have you are allocating some amount of your income towards your savings, it's always important to also think about where you are allocating this money to, what kind of account, because you just don't want to put it into a normal account that doesn't even yield you any sort of interest. You always want to put it in a savings account that has some sort of interest rate or high yield. So when you are opening a bank account, a savings account, always make sure to find out from the bank that you are opening the account with, what are the benefits of having a savings account, a high yield savings account with you. And you get to see the rates, see what the interest rate is like, and see if these are things that are beneficial to you, or if you had to take that money and invest it somewhere else, if it's something that will be very much more beneficial to you. These are things you have to see and check for yourself when it comes to saving aggressively. Number 7 is side hustles. Starting a side hustle. This is something that most people don't think of. When they are maybe working, they feel like what they earn from their job is sufficient for them to just manage within their box. No, that shouldn't be the way of thinking when it comes to your finances. Always look for other mediums of income. Don't just depend on one medium of income. A typical financial expert will tell you don't just cast your eggs in one basket. You just don't live from hand to mouth. You just don't pay attention to just what you earn. No, always think about what are the things I can do to multiply my income. What are the areas I can look at to always to start something. Starting a side hustle can be very, very helpful for you, and it will help you generate additional income that you can add to your aggressive saving budget. So imagine you're just saving normally from your income every month, and then you say, okay, I don't want to think I have only maybe 20% to save from my income every month, but then I have a job. Maybe at the end of my work every day, I decide to go and do some sort of, let's say, Uber delivery or some sort of other things that could maybe be like a side hustle you just do for a few hours. The money you allocate from that, that you are actually appointing or allocating those money to your already existing savings, which could actually improve your aggressive savings. So this is important. Look at other opportunities that you think, there are side hustle jobs online, there are freelancing jobs online, there are jobs you could do, blogging online. You can do quite a number of things online that you could get paid for. This money could constitute to your aggressive saving plan. It's always very important to look at other opportunities to make money. Don't just focus on what you're currently earning. Always think about what can I do to actually improve myself in terms of what kind of opportunities are there that I can do and that I can get some additional money towards my aggressive saving plan. So always pay attention to that. Number 8 is avoiding eating out at restaurants. As simple as this could be, it's something that when you pay attention to, you will understand what it means. So many people spend over 80% of their income towards eating out in most regions of the world. But it's always important to put a check on that, because you could actually save some amount of money from the eating out you always spend. Because if you go out and you buy some things for yourself and you try to make some homemade meals for yourself. You could save. You could save some additional money. Grabbing dinner out can be convenient. I know that, but it can also derail your plans to save aggressively. If you are spending $50 a week on a takeout food or meal, which with friends, at the end of the day, if you want to look at that, for instance, that's already $2,600 a year. That's already $2,600 a year. That $2,600 a year, if you had saved that would be something that will be so beneficial for you, because you could use that money to do something else. So try as much as possible. I'm not saying you shouldn't eat out with friends, but try as much as possible to minimize it to a level that it doesn't recur like every now and then. Because some people, they just see it like it becomes their lifestyle. You'll see, it becomes their lifestyle. So it's important to pay attention to that. So number 9 is investing your money. Investment is something that you cannot ignore when it comes to the financial environment. It's always important to invest, whether it's for the short term or for the long term. Always think about investment. You can't go wrong with investments. It's important. But like I said, when it comes to investment, always know why you want to invest. Because the why is what will give you direction as to how to deal with things. Always know why you want to invest. Just don't invest on anything or any vehicle or any instrument, financial instrument. Always pay attention to the reason why you want to invest. Is your investment going to be for the long run? Is it going to be for the short run? Why am I investing in this particular opportunity? Pay attention to that, and like I said, aggressive saving could also be linked to investment, because when you are taking your money from your income and you are looking for opportunities out there to multiply that money, it shows that even the aggressive money that you are saving, the money that you are saving aggressively, you could actually multiply it through investment. You'll see. So it's very important to look at that and ensure that you are saving aggressively. Now, the final point, number 10, is utilizing the 30-day rule. Now, you might want to ask me, what's the 30-day rule? The 30-day rule is fairly straightforward. If you are tempted to spend money on an unplanned purchase, impose a 30-day waiting period. You might be tempted to say, oh, I am someone that enjoys shopping a lot. I like doing this. I like doing that. Now, impose a 30-day waiting period. Now, what are you going to do during that 30 days? That 30 days is enough time for you to decide if you really need to buy whatever you wanted to buy. Because some people, they just see something and then they are triggered to get it. They don't even care about if they really need it at that time. They don't care about that. They just want to get it. But it's important to impose a 30-day rule on yourself, a 30-day period. Try as much as possible to put this waiting period, and then it gives you enough time to decide if you really want to buy that thing or you really need to buy that thing, and you have to really consider it. If you do that, you will find out that the money in your budget, to pay for it is something that you can keep aside, because you might not need it. You see, you can allocate that thing to your aggressive saving plan. Some people go as much as even going on credit, using their credit cards to get things that they might not necessarily need at that time. That will save you a lot of debt if you don't even pay attention to this. So it's always important to stick with this. Very, very important. Utilize this 30-day rule and try as much as possible to be smart. Buy smart. Don't just buy things. Buy smart. It's always important to look at these things and pay attention to them, because they will help you and guide you when it comes to your savings. So, having said all this, these are the 10 important steps, 10 important ways that I believe you could use. These are proven ways you could use to aggressively save money. They are very, very key. The things that I've shared, take note of them, pay attention to them. It will help you in your savings. It will guide you in how you plan to save money on a monthly or on a weekly or on a yearly basis. It's very, very important. So having said all this, I hope this particular episode was very beneficial to you. I would love to hear from you. Always send me your feedbacks, what you think. If there are questions you have, you can always send me a DM. I would always try as much as possible to respond to your messages and to your DM. Thank you so much for your time and paying attention to this particular episode. And until I see you again in my next episode, I want you to stay financially vigilant, financially healthy, and always be the best that you could be. Have a great day. Cheers.